My client and senior manager of brand experience at Ferrara. So I hope all of you are ready for something sweet. We are going to talk about cookies. We are going to talk about candy. We are going to talk about commerce and culture and how all of those things fuse together. And I can't wait for you to hear some of the insights and learnings that Lauren and I have gone on this journey together, just discovering this changing nature of commerce and gaming and culture. And we'll walk through some of the many fun campaigns we've co-created together. So,
Yes.
Lauren.
Great. Yes. Thanks for having me. And as Laura said, I'm the senior brand experience manager at Ferrara. And I just want to let you know, while you might not be familiar with Ferrara overall, I'm sure you guys are really familiar with our diverse portfolio. We have nearly 35 brands, including Sweet Tarts, Trolley, Bracks, Black Forest, and Nerds in the confectionery space, and then Keebler and Famous Amos within the cookie space. So super excited to be here.
Yes, it's a broad portfolio of delightful things for sure. So in the interest of time, let's dig into it. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So, when we start out thinking about the future of commerce and marketing and what we could do, the possibilities for campaigns and shoppers and engagement almost seem limitless and endless. And we know that culture and gaming are going hand in hand with what's happening now commercially for brands, and particularly at Ferrara. And one of the things that's interesting is that the trends coming out of culture shape some of the commercial trends of how we sell and how we engage people. If you had to bet on one big trend for 2021, and in terms of culture and commerce, Lauren, what do you think is going to dominate?
Definitely. So one thing I think we've been seeing throughout the last year and as we started 2021 is really all about going beyond the transaction to provide more value for the consumer. So as I mentioned, with Ferrara as a candy and cookies company, we're not only providing delight in every bright bite with our sweet snacks, but also trying to provide more than just a transactional value exchange within the purchase. So one thing that we've been seeing specifically is how do we connect our purchases in the digital space? So one quick example, this year, recently we just launched our new Trolley Sour Gummy creations. So these are, our beloved Trolley candy brand, and it's a first little buildable sanded gummy. So you can build these lovely little alien creations. We have 7 different shapes, 6 different flavors to make over 200 customizable combinations. So while that's great, we knew that we needed to, even extend that experience to the consumer. So one thing we're doing is not only letting our shoppers play with their candy physically, but also in the digital space. So we created a virtual experience that encourages shoppers to go online, log all of their 216 alien combinations, and encourage them to, really have fun with it. So for us, we're seeing this as a really fun way to collect aliens and also, provide shoppers an incentive. So not only do they get to eat our candy and play with it, we're offering them an option to enter a sweepstakes and win. So when we're looking at this, it's beyond just that pure candy experience. It's creating something fun and engaging for them.
And I thought one of the things that was so interesting too about that campaign was that the digital engagement we allowed consumers sort of mirrored what the candy engagement was, right? So it had that authentic link of like, this is a candy, like you said, you play with, you build. There are over 216 different aliens you can create. And so we wanted to take that, honor that like brand intrinsic piece, and then bring it into the digital engagement. And I've been really surprised at how many people are building and logging all 216 aliens.
Yes, yes. This program is live right now, and it's say right now exceeding our expectations. And we knew people like to play with their candy, but I think they probably like to play with it a little bit more than we even thought.
100%. Um, so in thinking about this, we know that it's really important, and that brands strive to run like impactful brand campaigns. Do you think brands, as we sort of emerge from this COVID situation, and look to the future, do you think brands will continue to have to delight consumers in new and interesting ways? And how does Ferrara specifically plan to use digital engagement to help bring some of these experiences to life?
Cool. So starting with do brands have to delay? I think 100% brands will continue having to delay. And I think we all know consumers are even becoming smarter about recognizing marketing. So we know when we're being marketed to, we know consumers are being bombarded with messages across all of their devices. If you look at studies, people are watching TV, playing on their iPhone, playing on their iPad, so constantly connected. So knowing that we do need to continue to delight. I'd say, like we talked about, digital engagement is a great way to continue going beyond that transaction and bring the brand experience to life. And one way that that does kind of transcend marketing and make it feel more authentic is within that gaming audience. So once again, on our Trolley brand, we have activated in the gaming way and have seen phenomenal results. So for those who don't know about Trolley, the Trolley brand's a little different than your typical candy brand. So, starting with the packaging, we're in that dark black packaging, very different from the rest of the candy aisle, the bright candy aisle. And we knew that gamers are super, they want to engage in the space and are super into and know when they're being marketed to. So truly in this campaign activation that we ran last fall, we did have to go, beyond that transaction and engage them with that digital engagement.
Yeah, and I thought what was interesting about that too is like the way that we did it, right? Like it wasn't just sponsoring a game, it wasn't just partnering with a gaming network or entity. We built our own game, right, and made the content bespoke for Trolley, and then we hid it in a place that was incredibly authentic, the deep, deep, deep web for gamers to try and find. I don't know if you wanted to speak about that just a little bit.
Yeah, yes, for sure. So to even make it more Trolley, it was not easily findable by search engines. So one thing that not only connected to that gaming audience, but made sure that we were ensuring purchase. So the only way to truly find this was to scan the code on pack. So once you scan the code on pack, you were able to enter this truly gaming experience. And to make it even more fun and a little bit more gamerized, if that's a word, you actually only had 10 minutes to play. So it wasn't that you could spend hours and hours playing, but you had 10 minutes. So a sense of urgency to make sure that you could complete the levels and move on. So for this, we saw that this was a phenomenal way to, actually encourage that repeat purchase. We were able to delight our shoppers with that candy, but also provide this escape in this fun gaming world. And when we did, so this campaign ran last fall, and we saw that this did 100% resonate with our audience. On average, people were spending almost 9 minutes of gameplay, which is completely unheard of, and multiple times the amount of time people spend on our social pages or even on our own website. And I'd say lastly, like we said, connecting it to buying that pack was really how we were able to drive that purchase. So we had, we can't disclose exact numbers, but we had super strong, in-market sales growth, both for our brands as well as the category this time. So, marrying up that, brand engagement and sales growth was truly like that perfect combination we were looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other piece of this that was amazing was if you rewind back to what was going on in fall, like candy is largely an impulse driven purchase, right? It's something we pop into a drugstore or a C-store and go pick up to delight ourselves. And a lot of that wasn't happening last fall. So this engagement hit at exactly the right time, to not only help get the lift without going into specifics that the brand needed, but it lifted the category as well at a time when people just weren't impulse buying. I think that's really speaks to the ingenuity of the digital engagement and how spot on it was for your consumer. So we stole a bit of people's attention, like almost 9 minutes worth, which is phenomenal. And that's something we're seeing like a shift in more and more. Sort of that ad-based revenue model that has dominated creative industries in the 21st century, right? That attention economy, awareness, attention, share. And it's really being slowly but surely replaced with what we're calling the creator economy, which is made up of more like platforms and marketplaces that sort of democratize creative expression, entrepreneurship. Brands are opening up a little and letting consumers participate more with them in unique ways. What role do you see that playing in your commercial initiatives? And do you see any of your brands adapting to this sort of paradigm shift from like awareness and attention to like creation and engagement?
Definitely. I think this is 100% a cultural trend that we've been seeing, specifically across a lot of our brands, but even more sometimes specifically for different brands. So for us, I think this creator economy and creative expression holds the most true when we're talking to, our brands that really resonate with Gen Z. So one example here is within our Sweet Tarts brand. So for those who don't know, I mean, Sweet Tarts has a long history, but Sweet Tarts, down to its name, stands for being more than one thing. So Sweet Tarts, a combination of sweet and tart, and that lines up, 100% to what we're seeing in this creative expression. So as we're celebrating uniqueness, duality, and being more than one thing, we know that our consumers are also looking for this. So one way, we've kind of brought the creative economy to the masses was with our Sweet Tarts product last year that we launched to coincide with the release of Wonder Woman 84. So for those who aren't familiar, I mean, Wonder Woman is the iconic Marvel franchise that was launched. But in that movie, Wonder Woman holds the golden lasso of truth. And when we started thinking about, what's a great way for us to celebrate this uniqueness and duality within our consumers, this was a great fit for our Sweet Tarts brand with our Sweet Tarts ropes, which truly looks like a bit of a golden lasso of truth. So for us to do this, we created Sweet Tarts Golden Ropes that was truly that celebration of the product. But knowing that not only we wanted to celebrate, but we knew our consumers also wanted to kind of get in on the action. So here we launched with a Snapchat code on pack, which no potentially. I mean, this was about 2 years ago, cutting edge at the time. We know technology continues to evolve, but Snapchat, while there's other technologies, it still is that really simple way to insert yourself and show your creative expression. So we had a Snap Lens that was letting you super self yourself. So you could really explore your alter ego, look like Superwoman or Wonder Woman, throw around the golden lasso and truly express themselves. So we were thrilled to see, the amount of people who engaged with that pack and that, super easy experience, but really letting people show their true expression versus just, quote unquote marketing to them.
Right. And that was a pretty successful platform for the brand. I wonder if you want to talk just a little bit about, without giving any corporate secrets away, like we continue to lean into that opportunity to turn brand assets, or in this case, like the Wonder Woman assets, over to consumers to play with. And I wonder if you wanted to talk a little bit about the Be Both Notes campaign that kind of dovetailed off of, as soon as Wonder Woman 84 kind of ended, we extended that idea of playing with the brand a little bit.
Yes, for sure. So yes, as we talked about, Sweet Tarts being more than one thing, and if you've seen any of our, TV commercials or other advertising, it's all about, ending with be both. So right now in market, we have a campaign called Be Both Notes. This is truly a program where you as the consumer get to customize and share your sentiments with other folks. So what we're asking people to do, scan the code on our displays. You're able to launch into a portal where you can truly create and send graphic digital notes to celebrate the uniqueness of your friends and peers. So we've given them a library to really unique graphics, fonts, expressions, just to quickly create something, share it with their friends and family, and really give them that jump starter content. So making sure it's authentic to what the candy is, it's rolling into people's lives in a short, uplifting burst. So trying to make it easy, but let people truly have their own customization as well.
Yeah, I like that. I like what you said there about being authentic to what the product is and how people enjoy it. And it is that short little uplifting burst. And so in both those engagements, it was a quick way for people to create a little something, go a little bit deeper, but different than the trolley example that you talked about at the beginning of our conversation, right? Which was a much deeper, more involved, like it kind of intense experience. For Sweet Tarts, it made more sense to like delve into this creator economy, but do it in a way that was like a little more turnkey and a little simpler for people, yet still allow them the freedom to play with the brand. And I think it's continues to be an interesting brand to think about in terms of that sort of creator situation. Um, well, I don't want to keep you too long, and I want to make sure we leave plenty of time for questions. I really appreciate, I know how busy you are with all of these different brands and programs that we're putting together, not only in market now, but in future execution. But in closing, I just wanted to get your thoughts and just quick snippet on, what are you most excited about that you have on the horizon? I think you did a lovely job of recapping some of the programs that have been in market recently and how they start to demonstrate and chip away at the future of commerce, particularly in our category. But what are you excited for that's coming up on the horizon?
Yes. I think one thing I'm really excited about as we're looking to 21 and beyond is continuing and integrate, commerce in ways that does good or makes a difference, not just for our consumers, but the world at large. We know that now more than ever, there's a consumer desire for brands, not to just be static things, but to be living participatory platforms. We know that people actually expect brands to react to things in the world and deliver on that promise. So I think for us, as we think through, we're sometimes we say we're just candy and cookies, but we do know that things as small of a purchaser of candy and cookies can actually make a difference in the world. So for me, I'm excited. We have a continued partnership with Keebler and Make-A-Wish, where we've uncovered a consumer insight that our millennial parent target is really looking to support a cause they believe in. And Make-A-Wish and the great organization truly pairs with our Keebler brand of an elfin spreading elfin magic. So I think for us, I'm just excited to continue to see these programs come to life, not only to engage with our brand fans, but also to do good in the world.
Yeah, it definitely has been a really fulfilling partnership. And it's pretty powerful when you can say that you helped, lift a brand's volume and sales, but then at the same time, you were able to grant, 25 wishes for Make-A-Wish Kids in Needs. I think that leaves everybody with a very, very sweet taste in their mouths at the end of it. Well, I want to just thank you for all your time today and see if we have any questions from the audience, or if there's anything that you wanted Lauren to go into a bit more detail about. We have eat, slept, and breathed these programs, so they're very much second nature to us. But perhaps some of you out there have questions.
Definitely.
Oh, that's a good one. Are there any brand initiatives around Girl Scout cookies? I can speak to this a little bit, but maybe you could speak to it more deeply than I can, Lauren. Girl Scouts is an interesting, and I love that someone knows that Ferrara is one of the producers of famous Girl Scout cookies.
Yes, no, I can jump in. This is not as much my area of expertise, but 100%, yes, and appreciate that people know about Ferrara and Girl Scout cookies.
Yeah.
So I will say, yeah, one brand initiative that launched this year for Girl Scout cookies, and I'd say we're at the tail end of Girl Scout cookie selling season, was that we launched virtual cookie booths. So people anyone throughout the country could support troops, one, not only in their backyards, but potentially if you have kids or friends and families throughout the country, you could actually support them virtually by going online and either ordering cookies for yourself, which I did. I ordered a few too many boxes, or even donating to frontline workers. So I think that was a really unique pivot during COVID. And then in terms of the brand initiatives around Girl Scout cookies, like I said, right now it's more about the Girl Scout cookies business and us supporting them. So that was our key activation.
Yeah, and no small feat in the middle of COVID, when basically every way that you could have normally bought a Girl Scout cookie was taken away. I think it was a heroic effort on the part of Ferrara to build the cookie finder, to build the digital engagement, and allow Girl Scouts to continue like with this amazingly important fundraiser, but do it in a totally new way, and to do it that quickly was no small effort. The next question, I don't know how much of this we can actually answer, but we can try. What new products are going to be supported in 2021? Maybe I'm going to leave that one with you.
Yeah. So I can jump in here. So the trolley sour gummy creations that I talked about, that is a new product launch for 2021. And as we talked about, that just went live this Q1, Q2. So that is a huge product launch that we're supporting in 2021. And then you mentioned what's next for Nerds as well. So I think if you're not familiar, so our Nerds brand has launched Nerds Gummy Clusters, which is actually our new product launch for 2021. It's flying off the shelves. So if you can find it on shelves, I would highly recommend you trying it. But yes, the Nerds Gummy Clusters is our new product launch supported in 21. We did support that with a bit of a commerce activation as well. We, the nerds as characters work together with their different traits of spontaneity, creativity, and logic. So to celebrate that launch of the Nerds Gummy Clusters, which is a very new to the world innovation, we actually launched invention stories that were able to, if you scan the displays, you were able to see these inventor stories of great inventions throughout time. And then also, if you follow us on social, we've been carrying those stories through in our social channels as well. So the Nerds Gummy Clusters and the Trolley Gummy Creations are our new products for 2021.
And if you're curious what a gummy cluster is, imagine like a little delicious gummy center that has been rolled or collected all the different flavors of Nerds candies on its exterior. So it's truly this, you know, product embodiment of the Nerds brand positioning, which is sort of this perfectly imperfect together. They've literally brought all the nerds together around this little gummy cluster. And it really was a new to the world invention, hence this, you know, our CTA, our call to action was, you know, taste the crunchy, gummy, yummy invention. And then we supported that with a little bit of education because do like to learn. They're curious about the world as their little characters, and did do some education around kind of unsung, interesting inventions throughout history. And we like to think that the gummy cluster is just the latest in a long line of wonderful inventions. I'm curious, when you say it's amazing, does that mean you've tried them? They are amazing. They're highly poppable and delicious. And I think Kylie Jenner is a big fan as well.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, very, very good.
I actually do see a question in the Q&A that I'd love to answer about engaging with your internal customers and your employees. So I think the question, I'll actually just read it. So how do you engage with your internal customers, your employees? So I actually think this is a great question, and a learning we've learned recently that we need to continue to, you know, celebrate our external activations with our employees. So I think one thing to notice, you know, at a company like Ferrara, where we have brands that span the spectrum, as well as, you know, manufacturing employees, we actually like to just truly bring these experiences to our internal employees. So obviously during the pandemic, with a lot of people working virtually, it's been a lot more of a virtual experience, but sometimes it's just as simple as, you know, leveraging our internal social networks to share these things. So as an example, for Trolley and our, you know, our gaming program last year, we actually had an internal competition within employees to see who could score the highest on each of the levels. If you took a screenshot and sent it into our internal like social channel, you had a chance to win prizes. So I think that was just little things like prizes, whether it's, you know, prize packs with our brands, or, you know, potentially like a small low level Amazon gift card. Those are things that actually get people really excited, and not only spreads the news about your programs throughout the organization, but really does encourage engagement. I'd say as we transition eventually back to, you know, more in-person or hybrid, one thing we do like to do is just celebrate the launches of these products and campaigns with internal events, whether it's just, you know, a tasting of all the products. So, you know, we would have all the Trolley and Nerds on a table in our conference rooms and in the headquarters, as well as extending to, you know, our places where of manufacturing. So we do like to just celebrate all the work that we've done. And I think it's actually something we do think about at the beginning of a campaign, of how are we going to quote unquote market this internally to make sure that, you know, people who don't touch the product know all the great news that we're doing.
Yeah, and I know that specifically around some of our tentpole holidays, like Halloween was a big, you know, a big community event at Ferrara, and one that you would support here in Chicago, where your corporate headquarters are, by doing a lot of giving back of time and supporting different charities that could help bring Halloween to life around the city and make it delightful for everyone. And I'm sure that's something we're all looking forward to getting back to at some point. Someone also asked a really good and tough question in the Q&A, but what is your favorite campaign thus far in 2021? Although I think we could go back to 2020 if you want.
Yes. I mean, I think there's actually I mean, I'm blessed and fortunate to work on a bunch of different great brands and different campaigns as well. So actually we'll say one that we haven't touched on, but I do have a bit of heart for, is one that within our Black Forest brand. So for those who don't know, Black Forest gummy bears, but gummy bears and fruit snacks are, you know, within that space, we actually are like similar space to Make-A-Wish, really trying to do good for the world. So our Black Forest brand has actually recently announced a commitment to a long range target of planting 10 million trees by 2030. So got 9 more years to do it, but a super aspirational target of really standing for good for the world and good for you. So the commitment here is that on pack, this year we were actually able to bring the virtual forest to people. So we partnered with the National Forest Foundation and launched what we were calling virtual forest tours. So if you scan your pack of fruit snacks or gummy bears, you can actually be transported to take a tour of one of our beautiful national forests. I think for me, I think this one, not only I think it's a great activation for our consumers, but it also just hit home for me, as someone who likes to be out in nature and likes to be
Yeah.
traveling. During the pandemic, a lot of that went on pause. So it's really great to be able to actually feel like you could see the virtual forest as well as learn about our products, and really bring that experience and joy to people's lives. So that one, I think for me, is just something that resonated super strong.
And I love the mindful way also that you executed that program and thinking through, right? We did some interesting thing with displays around trying to make them a little bit more sustainable and being mindful of our footprint as a brand while we're not perfect. Just keeping that in mind, pulling that same thought of good for you and your family and the world all the way through the execution is great. Was a great aspect of that. Well, I think we're almost at time. Are there any other questions? There are a lot in
Yes.
the chat.
Let's
We
see.
want to
Yeah, there are a lot in the chat. I will. I think that maybe one more. I think the one in terms of in-store and e-commerce strategies.
yeah.
So question is, what are your brands currently doing in terms of your in-store and e-commerce strategies? And I mean, I think that's a fantastic question. I think one thing for us, I think that a lot of companies have noticed as well, is that the pace of e-commerce with the pandemic has just truly accelerated. I've seen estimates anywhere from advancing us, 1 or 3 to 5 years within the span of 1 year, and it could potentially be more. So for us, as we're thinking through, in-store and e-commerce, both do remain important channels for us. So, as we're, designing in-store displays to, stop the shopper in their tracks, we're at the same time thinking about how do we stop them in that digital environment. So, in that e-commerce environment. So that's anything from making sure we have, content strategies lined up across our brand pages, whether it's on specific retailers, as well as making sure the same packs that go in store are sold online. So we're trying to merge as much that experience that you're going to get when you take our product home, whether you bought it at a physical store or that you had it shipped to us. So I think that's just trying to make sure everyone's getting that same experience.
Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Great chat. Yeah, you can keep going if there's other questions that you want to answer. I know you guys got so many that came in.
There's one more. Can we answer one more, Lauren? Can I
Yeah, sure.
I think it's really, I like this question about what do you see, and they asked it right at the top of our fireside chat without a fireplace. But what do we see as the biggest future challenge to retail and e-commerce, as well as the biggest opportunity? And I think we touched on this a little bit just in some of the program examples that we outlined. I'll answer first, and then maybe you can build on top of. But I would say, in partnering with you, I think two challenges are really interesting. I think there's a tension in our shopping behavior that has bifurcated it. Like, it is now a privilege and an honor to be able to go in a store and take your time and actually shop. So I'm curious about how that's going to impact the physical retail environment and make it even more delightful. Converse with that, on the opposite side of the spectrum, is this desire for personalization, customization, and incredible convenience. You can now add to cart from your previous purchases and have everything delivered to your doorstep in a snap. So there's this interesting bifurcation happening of both really rich experiences and then very, very streamlined, convenient experiences. And I think both of those present phenomenal opportunity for us as marketers to figure out, in this continually bifurcated world, how do we appease both situations? That's just kind of how I see it. I don't know if you have a different opinion or want to build on that at all.
No, I think I 100% agree. I think we're getting so used to everything being convenient and at your fingertips. But there is this demand for getting out in the world and doing things. So I think there's an opportunity for brands, when consumers are getting back out there, we can't disappoint them. We need to make sure we actually deliver on that experience, because I think consumers are going to have a lot of options, and if your brand doesn't connect with them, they're going to move on to the next one. So how can you remain convenient and relevant and meet the ever-changing and demanding needs?
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's kind of an exciting time to have to figure all this out.
Now I have a sweet tooth, so thank you for that. Love all of your products, Lauren, and I definitely think this conversation resonated. I actually got a text message from a colleague throughout and said I had no idea, like all of the things that they're doing right now. So yeah, I'm sure we'd love to have you back to talk about that more.
For sure. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you, Laura. Thank you, Lauren. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Bye.
Have a great rest of the day.
You too.
All right, and that concludes our program. So special thank you to all of our speakers, from everyone at VMLY&R, Coca-Cola, Conagra, Dell, TD Bank, Ferrara. It was honestly a fantastic program, and we expect nothing less from our amazing partners at WPP. So thank you for being here today. We have a really busy week on the live cast front. So if you enjoyed today's programming, we welcome you to come back the rest of this week. We've got programs on everything from marketing innovation to multicultural marketing to future of TV, you name it. So check it out on our website. It's free to register, and we hope to see you again. Have a great rest of the day.